2027 budget. I'm Jessica Vega Peterson, your Multnomah County Chair, and I want to thank you all for joining us this evening to share your thoughts and priorities. We have many of you signed up in advance and several joining tonight in person, and I just want to make sure it's not a surprise if this hearing ends up going a little long tonight. We appreciate everyone's time and commitment to this process. Before we start, I want to let everyone know that interpretations of this hearing are available in American Sign Language, Spanish, Russian, Vietnamese, and Somali. For virtual viewers, if you're streaming on YouTube, you'll find the ASL interpreters window pinned to the side of the stream. If you're using the WebEx platform, you can pin the ASL interpreters window to your screen. Alternatively, you may also consider using YouTube's live closed captioning function. Interpreters, as I call your names, please introduce yourself. Estefany and Yidis for Spanish.
Hi, good evening. My name is Estefany. Muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Estefany y estoy aquí esta noche para darle interpretación para la audiencia del presupuesto en español. Si usted va a dar testimonio esta noche y gustaría que yo le interprete de su parte, por favor, déjele saber al clérigo antes de que usted empiece su testimonio. Muchísimas gracias.
All right, and we have Alla and Svetlana for Russian.
Добрый день, меня зовут Светлана, и сегодня я здесь, чтобы переводить слушание по бюджету на русский язык. Если вы планируете сегодня выступать и хотели бы, чтобы я переводила для вас, пожалуйста, обратитесь к секретарю Совета заранее, до своей речи, чтобы дать ему об этом знать. Спасибо.
Thank you. We have Phuc Nguyen Di for Vietnamese.
Good evening, my name is Di, Vietnamese interpreter. Xin chào buổi chiều, tên tôi là Di và tôi đến đây hôm nay để phiên dịch buổi điều trần ngân sách này bằng tiếng Việt. Nếu có quý vị nào phát biểu tối nay thì tôi sẽ phiên dịch giúp cho các bạn. Xin vui lòng báo cho ban thư ký hội đồng biết trước khi bắt đầu bài phát biểu của mình. Tôi sẽ đồng hành với các bạn giúp cho các bạn phát biểu thành công. Xin vui lòng và báo cho tôi biết trước. Rất cảm ơn.
Thank you. And we have Bishar for Somali. And if you could just hit the, there you go.
galab wanaagsan magacayda waa Bishaar waxaan caaw halkaan u joogaa inaan turjumo dhageysiga miisaaniyadda Soomaaliya ku turjumo hadii aad markaati furayso fadlan oo aad rabtiin lagu turjumo ogeysii gudiga wax xagaaya sidaas darteed aan ku saan u turjumo waa mahadsantahay.
Thank you. And we have Tara and Ann for American Sign Language. So it is, oh, go ahead. Oh, that's right, you have the whole script. Go for it. Thank you. So it's good to be with all of you tonight. As always, please bear with us through any technical difficulties that arise during the meeting. There are refreshments and additional seating in the back room there, and guests are always welcome to use that space if they'd like. Today's budget hearing is one way that Multnomah County collects community feedback on our budget before it will be adopted on Thursday, June 4th at the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. I'd also like to remind everyone that written testimony on the county's budget can be submitted online throughout the budget process. You can find that form at multco.us/budget-feedback. multco.us/budget-feedback. You'll also find links to the forms in Spanish, Russian, Vietnamese, Somali, Simplified Chinese, and Chuukese on the website. You can also simply mail your comments to our board clerk at boardclerk@multco.us. boardclerk@multco.us. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to join us this evening, either to be here in person or joining us virtually to share your thoughts and ideas. Hearing from you about this year's proposed budget priorities and how they represent Multnomah County's values is an essential part of our budgeting process. Your feedback will inform our decision-making as we continue working towards an adopted county budget in June that is truly representative of the communities we partner with and serve. This is a much tougher budget year for the county than many in recent memory. Despite that, the job of this board is to make the best use of the dollars we have to serve our community's essential needs and ensure resources are going to the people who rely on them most and whose needs we must prioritize during these challenging times. Multnomah County's budgets and priorities are not built in a silo. They're built alongside many partners and the community itself. Our county is built as much by the community members who call Multnomah County home as for them, which is why this budget also looks at how we can be a more inclusive, equitable, and thoughtful partner. Hearing from all of you is part of that commitment, so I'm glad you're here tonight to share your voice. And I want to make sure that my fellow Multnomah County commissioners have a chance to introduce themselves, so I'd invite each commissioner to do that. I'll start with Commissioner Moyer.
Hi, I'm Megan Moyer. I use she, her pronouns. I am the Multnomah County Commissioner in District 1, which is everything west of the river and inner southeast from 84 down to Clackamas County and over to around Cesar Chavez.
Thank you. Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Chair. Hello all, Shannon Singleton. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm the Commissioner for District 2, which is North and Northeast Portland.
Thank you. Commissioner Brim-Edwards.
Good evening, everyone. Julia Brim-Edwards, Multnomah County Commissioner, East Portland in the House, from about 36 to about 146, depending on the lines a little bit, I-84 to the Clackamas County line. Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones-Dixon.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Jones-Dixon, I represent District 4, so that's East Multnomah County, everything east of 146 all the way out to the Hood River line, and welcome. We are building America's favorite county.
All right.
Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you. I also want to remind members of the public that at these budget hearings, commissioners listen, but we don't respond to testimony. We also don't usually clap in the boardroom, so if you want to show your support and enthusiasm, you can go like this and wave your hands. I'll now turn it over to our board clerk, Tasia Nelson, who will provide a brief overview of written testimony submitted prior to this hearing and talk through the logistics of the meeting before calling for testimony. Tasia.
Thank you, Chair. Today we have 45 people signed up to testify. As of 5:30 p.m., we have received 39 written testimony forms, all of which I have shared with each board member and their staff. Interpreters available in American Sign Language, Spanish, Russian, Vietnamese, and Somali. If you would like to have your testimony interpreted into English, please let us know when it's your turn to testify, and an interpreter will assist. If you are using the WebEx platform and want to view closed captioning, click the CC bubble on the bottom left portion of your screen. I will call 4 people at a time to come up to the presenters table. I will also announce the next 4 speakers so they are prepared to speak by coming down to the seats behind the presenter table. If you look right there in the blue shirt, that's Sarah. She'll help you guys get organized. Please speak directly into the microphone. For virtual speakers, I will call 4 people at a time and give them panelist access. Please keep your microphone muted until it's your time to speak. After you're done testifying, I will revert you back to an attendee. Public testimony is limited to 2 minutes per person. I will set a timer when you begin speaking and will announce when your time is up by saying time if you are virtual. If you're in person, please listen for the buzzer. At that point, please wrap up your sentence. Written testimony on the county's budget can be submitted beyond this public hearing by going to multco.us/budget-feedback or by emailing me at boardclerk@multco.us. Our first 4 testifiers tonight will be Julie Costanzo, Polly Wheeler, Nancy Ewell, and Diane Zitowski. Please come down to the presenters table. And the next 4 will be Helen Ying, Sarah Bohm, Audrey DeCourcy, and Deanna D'Souza.
All right, good evening, and who's ever ready can begin first.
Hello, my name is Julie Costanzo. I'm speaking about budget cuts that threaten animal care staff positions at Multnomah County Animal Services. Losing a single one of these enrichment positions will be a huge detriment to animal welfare at MCAS, and it's disturbing that this is on the table at all. Over the Over the years, county audits have called out the lack of enrichment and inadequate staffing as failures, and here we are stripping down the program that has had the most positive impact on animal welfare. We've had a small but dedicated team of volunteer dog walkers who tend to the adoptable dogs each day. Up until the end of March of this year, we have been consistently short on dog volunteers. However, the language around budget cuts states that animal care program relies heavily on a robust network of volunteers. For years, it would not be uncommon for a dog to get only one 10-minute walk each day, sometimes not getting out of its kennel at all due to lack of volunteers. There is no evidence that MCAS can maintain a healthy network of volunteers to take care of the mental and physical needs of these animals unless we are accepting low standards for animal care. As an open intake shelter, MCAS houses many dogs who are high energy, experiencing fear and stress, and come in with minimal background information. Volunteers and frontline staff are putting their bodies on the line to care for our community's animals. The enrichment program increases our safety. It gives the animals a healthy outlet to exercise their bodies and brains. It increases their likelihood of being ushered into appropriate homes. It leads to successful outcomes instead of prolonged suffering with animals deteriorating to the point where they have to be euthanized because we don't have the resources for humane care. It is beyond disappointing that given that there are plans for a new shelter with an estimated budget where we're talking about possibly $85 million, the county is considering getting rid of valuable positions that were not only recommended by audits, but are among the very few positions that directly daily increase animal welfare and public safety. Why are we acting like these essential workers are disposable when they embody the humane treatment we want to see at MCAS? A new facility does not ensure a better shelter. There is an amazing animal care team at MCAS right now that should not only be supported, but should be included in the conversation on how to build a holistically better shelter.
Thank you. Good evening.
Sorry. Hello, my name is Polly Wheeler. I'm here tonight to speak to the proposed FY27 Multnomah County Animal Shelter budget, specifically the Animal Enrichment Program. Previously testified after the proposed budget eliminated all 3 animal enrichment programs. While I appreciate the 2 have since been reinstated, this change is not guaranteed until the budget is finalized. The enrichment program began in 2023 in response to audit findings that cited serious failures. In the 2 years since the program began, the enrichment program has significantly improved animal welfare. Reinstating 2 positions is a positive step, but I urge the county to restore funding for the 3rd position and to consider funding additional animal enrichment staff. This would ensure program continuity and fully address failures identified in prior audits. At current staffing levels, there's no redundancy. When enrichment program staff are unavailable, essential activities, including play groups, fear, anxiety, stress level monitoring, are suspended, leaving animals without adequate mental and physical stimulation. This contributes to behavioral deterioration, increased euthanasia risk, and fewer successful adoptions, especially concerning as MCAS is currently operating beyond capacity. Fully restoring and expanding enrichment staffing would improve outcomes for animals at MCAS and address audit recommendations. Animal care and enrichment positions should be the last considered for elimination. The success of this program, along with decades of documented feedback, clearly demonstrate the need for more hands-on animal care, not less. Finally, the budget narrative references a robust cadre of volunteers, implying that they could substitute for trained staff. This is false. Volunteers are not authorized to conduct key enrichment activities and should not be expected to replace trained animal care staff. Further, MCAS has recently fired multiple long-term volunteers, calling into question the stability of the cadre. I respectfully urge the county to fully restore and expand funding for the animal enrichment program. Any necessary reductions should focus on administrative and management layers. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Nancy Ewell, and I volunteer for the County Animal Shelter. Thank you for funding MCAS in the past year's budget. Tonight, I'm asking you to not cut the staff of the enrichment program as submitted in the chair's budget. Pet enrichment is the practice of enhancing an animal's environment to meet their mental, physical, and emotional needs, fostering species-typical behavior. From feather wands and Heidi boxes to puzzle toys and play groups, enrichment has profound effects. Numerous studies have shown that enrichment activities in shelters reduce the pet's stress levels, depression, excitability, and defensive aggression. All these health and behavioral improvements lead to increases in adoptability of pets, better post-adoption behaviors, and reduction in returns of adopted pets. The Association of Shelter Veterinarians guidelines for care of shelter pets states that enrichment must be given the same significance as other components of animal care, such as nutrition and medical care. It is never considered optional. At MCAS, walk through the kennels in the morning and you'll hear loud barking and see stress-induced jumping. Walk through in the mid-afternoon after the dogs have had some enrichment and engagement, you'll feel the peace and quiet as many dogs are resting calmly on their beds. One of the most common questions potential adopters ask is, does this dog get along with other dogs? Because of enrichment activities like playgroups, staff know some of the social behaviors of some of the individual dogs. That information is essential for making a good match between a potential adopter and the shelter dog. Unfortunately, there's not enough capacity to have all dogs engage in playgroups, and one of the common reasons a dog is returned by an adopter is that it didn't get along with the resident dog. Cutting the enrichment program from 3 staff to 2 staff will set back the progress made at the shelter, and the knock-on effects will be detrimental to the pet's health, to adoption rates, and to adoption retention rates. Please do not cut the positions from the animal enrichment team. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Diane Zitlovsky. I'm also a volunteer at the shelter, and my main purpose here today is to thank you. Thank you, first of all, for going all in last year's budget and funding the animal health services to be operational 7 days a week. The impact of your action is clear and significant on our community. While the intakes of animals have increased by 14% from 2024 to 2025, the spay and neuter surgeries have soared by 51% for that same period, even without full staff. Moreover, the entire scope of medical services being provided to on-site to adopters, fosters, and injured animals at intake has significantly increased, according to the annual report. This has eliminated the burdensome and financially taxing voucher program and costly transfers to other clinics. Most of all, we are now truly serving our community by hitting a top goal of shelter care, reducing cat and dog populations by spaying and neutering most animals before they leave. I also want to thank you for safeguarding the after-hours emergency care for coverage for fosters last year's budget. This has kept the foster program alive without disruption, allowing more room in the shelter and a continuing program for the foster care. In the current budget cycle, thank you for keeping the 2 enrichment positions, and please reconsider keeping the 3rd program position as stated by my colleagues here for all the reasons they have stated. I just want you to imagine a dog being adopted and returned several times to finally wind up killed. This is what would happen if these enrichment programs weren't in place. And finally, I really want you to thank you for continuing the process for the new building project. It has not waned, it has only intensified with the volume of intakes, and we currently lack the facilities to care for these animals properly. In addition, the mental health of staff is under constant stress, trying to make it all work in the current conditions. So please, please keep the momentum alive for this project.
Thank you.
Next, we have Helen Ying, Sarah Bohm, Audrey DeCourcy, and Deanna D'Souza, and then we'll have virtual testimony from Stephanie Beck, Kayla Wells, Birdie Siegel, and Melanie Billings-Yun.
Hi, you can go ahead and begin, Helen. Thank you.
Chair Vega Peterson, Commissioner Moyer, Commissioner Singleton, Commissioner Brim Edwards, and Commissioner Jones-Dickson. My name is Helen Ying. I'm the Vice President of the Chinese American Citizens Alliance Portland Lodge and the President of the Lone Fir Cemetery Foundation. I want to begin by expressing my gratitude for the public presentation of the county's official apology at the Qingming event earlier this month, and for the $1 million allocated in the fiscal year 26 budget for the Chinese memorial. The budget note accompanying that allocation expressed the board's intent to prioritize available funds this cycle to complete the historical altar, gathering space, seating, interpretive elements, and the new stone altar, all essential for traditional rituals and community reflection. This afternoon's amendment, introduced by Commissioner Brim Edwards and co-sponsored by Commissioner Moyer, to add $1.5 million in capital for the Lone Fir Memorial, is deeply appreciated by our community. As you can see there right here with me, it reflects a meaningful step toward fulfilling the commitment expressed in last year's budget note. Since the apology was adopted, Metro's continued research has confirmed that at least 3,156 ancestors were buried at Block 14, hundreds more than previously known. Each one represents a life, a story, and a family whose history was nearly erased. I also want to lift up a key finding from research completed before the apology. A 1947 letter from the county superintendent proposing the removal of Chinese burials at Block 14 so the land could be repurposed for leaf disposal, a cemetery shop, nursery stock for profit, and storage of sand, gravel, and concrete. This letter underscores how the county once viewed this sacred ground primarily through an economic lens, and how the Chinese community bore the cost of that decision. And I know I'm out of time, so I just want to say today I respectfully ask the Commission to allocate the full $1.5 million needed to complete the memorial as designed. This is not only about fulfilling a promise, it's about addressing the historical wrong and ensuring that the people buried at Block 14 are finally honored and the dignity that they were denied. We have one chance to do this correctly, so let's move forward together and do this right. Thank you.
All right, good evening.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Audrey DeCourcy, and I am president of the League of Women Voters of Portland. The Portland League wants to see Multnomah County's charter review succeed. We know that will only be possible with robust community engagement. So what would robust engagement look like? It looks like outreach that starts early, during the recruitment process for the MCCRC. It emphasizes reaching out to the eastern parts of the county. It has a strategy for engagement, including town hall surveys, listening sessions, focus groups, not once, but in every district. It looks like broad social media for public awareness. It looks like partnering with community-based organizations with deep roots in the communities. It involves voter education once reforms are identified and on the table. And all of this will take funding. How much? The Bull Run Center estimates a charter reform budget of $900,000 to $1.5 million. Now, maybe you can't budget that much this year, but please spend more on outreach for the charter reform process. The county has many priorities. This must be one of them. We saw what's possible in community engagement with the City of Portland charter reform, and we believe the county deserves the same. This is a critical moment for Multnomah County. The people deserve a say in their county government. I see the packed room behind me testifies to the importance of community and hearing from community. So help us shape a democratic and inclusive charter. Help us build public trust in the county. Spend the money we need to fully involve the community and not shortchange our charter reform process. Thank you all for your service.
Thank you so much. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Boehm. I'm speaking on behalf of Multnomah County Animal Shelter. Proposed 2027 budget cuts to Multnomah County Animal Shelter would come at the worst possible time when demand for services is rising and capacity is already strained. With over $93 million in cuts countywide, 70% of that coming from homeless services, we can expect to see an increase in abandoned, neglected, and abused animals. When people lose access to housing and the support, they also lose the ability to care for their animals. Data shows that dog intake is up 10% year over year. MCAS is already operating beyond capacity. We can guarantee we will see more animals in the shelter with these proposed cuts. Each year, MCAS takes in more than 6,000 animals, with the shelter barely maintaining a live release rate of 90%. To be considered a no-kill shelter, animals are consistently euthanized for treatable and manageable behavior due to the lack of resources to work with them. When budgets are cut, shelter systems fail. The impact will be felt on the animal enrichment program. Proposed cuts will eliminate 5 positions desperately needed. 3 of those positions are directly related to the enrichment program to satisfy the 2018 audit of MCAS. Enrichment isn't optional. It's essential to animals and adoptability. It includes daily exercise, socialization, behavioral training, and mental stimulation. Without it, animals experience higher stress, anxiety, and deterioration, all reasons MCAS will use to euthanize animals. Enrichment is critical to outcomes. Studies across animal welfare show that dogs receiving daily exercise and socialization are up to 2 times more likely to be adopted. When they show signs of stress and anxiety, their shelter stay can increase by 30% or more, assuming they are even adopted. The proposed cuts from MCAS will provide a fraction of a budget relief, but at a substantial cost to the animals and the people needing the resources that they no longer have to care for their animals.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, County Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Deanna D'Souza, and I'm the Community Programs Manager at Work Systems, the Workforce Development Board for the Portland metro area. I'm here on behalf of a Home for Everyone economic opportunity program known as AFI EOP, which is funded by the Homeless Services Department. AFI EOP is a vital investment that supports the economic and housing stability of our most vulnerable neighbors. AFI EOP focuses on helping people facing barriers to employment, residents with low income, experiencing homelessness or housing insecurity, with prior justice involvement, and in recovery. We have the honor of partnering with Central City Concern, IRCO, Latino Network, Our Just Future, and POIC, who are all here tonight, to deliver these essential training and employment services to county residents on the homeless continuum of care. Last year alone, AFI EOP served 449 participants with career coaching, training, and employment services. 100% are experiencing homelessness or housing insecurity. Nearly 80% identify as BIPOC, and almost half rely on SNAP benefits. 149 participants received rent assistance, helping them get housed and stay housed while focusing on employment to sustain their housing. 75% of participants exited the program with the job that directly improved their housing stability, their average wage over $21 per hour. These outcomes are possible because of our wraparound model and trusted community partnerships. AFI EOP isn't just about placing people in jobs. We're connecting them to careers, confidence, and long-term self-sufficiency. Our model proves when we meet people where they are with the right resources and relationships, we generate results that ripple across families, communities, and systems. I respectfully urge you to restore and protect funding for employment programs as proposed by Commissioner Singleton's amendment in the county budget. Programs like AFI EOP are critical to building solutions that reduce long-term reliance on public assistance. Thank you for your supporting programs that deliver economic benefits and sustainable futures.
Thank you. Before we have the next panel come up, I just want to announce a couple things. So if you are here and you signed up ahead of time to testify, but you haven't checked in with Emily at the front of the room, could you please do that? We want to make sure that we have you checked in so that you're called up to testify. And then folks, because at a certain point, we're going to start moving people off of the wait list if people have not checked in. So if you have signed up to testify but haven't checked in with Emily, please go ahead and do that right now. And then if you're here on the wait list, we'll hopefully get some spots open for all of you. And then just as a note, the room is at capacity, and so we have people waiting outside in the lobby. So when you've completed your testimony, please consider giving someone else the space to come in so we can get through everyone who's here. All right, thank you.
Next up, we're going to have virtual testimony from Stephanie Back, Kayla Wells, Birdie Siegel, and Melanie Billings-Yun. And then we'll have in-person testimony from Noah Goldman, Kimberly Torres-Jimenez, Troy Ramsey, and Zebulon Hanan, and you guys can come down to the table to wait. First up, virtually, is going to be Stephanie. Stephanie, you can unmute yourself and begin.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Back. I'm an attorney with Metropolitan Public Defender's Community Law Division. I have been practicing law for over 11 years, 4 of those years here in Multnomah County. I represent tenants who are being evicted or facing other legal challenges with their landlords. Before moving to Oregon, I represented tenants in San Francisco, where tenants have the right to counsel if they're being evicted. It is my strong recommendation that Multnomah County try to move in that direction, not away from it. So I'm asking that you fund Program 25131C at the same level as the previous fiscal year. Legal representation in eviction proceedings is extremely valuable for all people, but especially for those who are living paycheck to paycheck or who are disabled and cannot work. It is indisputable that landlords and their attorneys take advantage when given the opportunity of vulnerable tenants. I have also had numerous conversations with well-meaning case managers and other community advocates who do not understand the law and have, as a result, given their clients incorrect advice about how to proceed when eviction notices have been served. Rather than discussing the success stories like getting large amounts of rental assistance or where a clever legal argument won at trial, I think it's also important to focus on the day-to-day wins. Practically every week, I speak with tenants who think that because their eviction notice expires on a given date, that that's the date they must move out. There's always a sigh of relief when I explain that no, they have potentially weeks more to get rental assistance, move their belongings, or go to trial. I have had clients tell me that their property managers refused payments even when those payments were the amounts legally required to cure their notices. When I contact those property managers or their attorneys and they finally accept the payments, does anyone apologize to these tenants for scaring them into thinking the sheriff would be knocking on their doors? Of course not. And then regarding the first appearance hearing, which is the first step in the court process, I have had clients tell me that the judge was so intimidating in the welcome speech and made them so fearful that they entered. Okay, thank you.
Next, we have Kayla Wells. Oh, Kayla, you can unmute yourself and begin.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Kayla Wells, and I am a Sunsite manager. I'm speaking on behalf of a family who could not make it here tonight but wanted their voice heard on the Sun budget matter. Dear Commissioners, I'm writing on behalf of my family and all other families who depend on the Sun program, not just for support, but for stability, growth, and community. For our children, Sun is more than an after-school program. It's a place where they feel safe, seen, and encouraged. It's where homework gets done with the help of caring adults, where friendships are built, and where they learn how to solve problems, work in teams, and believe in themselves. We've watched our kids' confidence grow and their excitement about school strengthen because of Sun. For us as parents, Sun is a lifeline. It connects us to resources we don't otherwise have: meals, academic support, and a network of people who truly care about our family's well-being. I cannot imagine, with all the horrors occurring in our world today, having Sun cut to such a degree, leaving families stranded without proper support in place, since so many of those other resources are being cut as well. If even 9 of the 93 Sun sites are shut down, families like ours will lose more than a program. We will lose relationships, consistency, and opportunities. These are not easily replaced. The ripple effects will show up in our classrooms, in attendance, and the confidence of kids who need the support the most. At times, Sun employees were the only ones to listen to what we were going through and give us the motivation to keep going. We understand difficult decisions must be made, but we ask you to see Sun for what it truly is: an investment in children, families, and the future of our community. Please protect and preserve this program. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Next, we have Melanie Billings-Yun. Melanie, you can unmute yourself and begin.
Hello. My name is Melanie Billings-Yun, and I'm a former member of the Portland Charter Commission. I'm here today to ask that you increase the funds allotted to the upcoming Multnomah County Charter Review to fully honor the will of voters when they passed Measure 23236, requiring the county to conduct inclusive and
Hold on, Melanie. Let's see if I can find you. Oop. Melanie, can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay.
I started before, but it seems to have remuted me. Okay.
Okay.
Shall I start again?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hello. My name is Melanie Billings-Yun, and I am a former member of the Portland Charter Commission. I'm here today to ask that you increase the funds allotted to the upcoming Multnomah County Charter Review to fully honor the will of voters when they passed Measure 23236, requiring the county to conduct inclusive and equitable public education, outreach, and engagement as a central part of the upcoming review. Charter reviews are not a luxury. They are the primary mechanism for county residents to reform our government to better meet our changing needs. The value of robust civic engagement cannot be overstated. It's the bedrock that supports all aspects of the charter reform process, from recruiting a truly representative charter committee to ensuring that the measure forwarded to the voters most equitably and effectively address public priorities. The current budget sets aside just under $215,000 for the first year of this 2-year review process. Independent analyses have estimated the absolute minimum cost, including meaningful public engagement, to be $300,000. The amount of additional funds needed to bridge this gap is a tiny drop in a $3.9 billion budget. But the benefits to be gained by equipping our county to meet current challenges and by building public trust through showing the Commission's support for citizen democracy are enormous. I understand that you are facing historic demand for services and significant budget constraints. However, it is precisely in these difficult times that citizen participation in shaping our government is most essential. I thank you for your consideration.
I don't see that Birdie is online, so we'll move back to in-person testimony. And we have Noah Goldman, Kimberly Torres Jimenez, Troy Ramsey, and Zabulin Hanan. And then after that, in the next group will be Susan McHarris, Nicholas Bohm, Shannon Gillen, and Hezekiah Wren. And you guys are invited to come to the seats down here to prepare. Noah, you can begin.
Chair Vega Peterson and Commissioners, my name is Noah Goldman and I'm a member of ASME 88. I've worked in a county-funded homeless shelter as a housing case manager since December of 2020. During the Chair's executive budget release on April 16, severe cuts to the Housing Services Department were announced, and 605 adult shelter beds will be lost. County-run adult shelters cost 20% of the HSD fiscal year 26 budgets, yet those proposed shelter reductions absorb 41% of the department's deficit, placing outsized cuts on this vital service. During the fiscal year of 25, those beds accommodated an estimated 2,600 to 3,000 individuals, a more accurate reflection of the additional number of people who will lose access to a shelter bed. Providing reason for this decision, the executive budget points to a January 26 report from the HSD titled Adult Shelter Review. Referring to length of stay for exits to permanent housing, I quote, "If all housing-focused programs decrease their average length of stay to 180 days, and half of those individuals were exiting to permanent housing, the same number of exits to permanent housing that occurred in fiscal year 25 could theoretically be achieved with as few as 841 shelter beds," end quote. This is magical thinking and cannot be achieved under current conditions. The determinants of someone's length of stay and likelihood to move into housing are too numerous to address here. Take the 50% exit to housing hypothetical, which the report argues is achievable with a few more dollars of rent assistance. Calculated for individuals rather than shelters, the median percentage exit to permanent housing is 16%, far from 50. Meaning, if I were to go to a random county run shelter, my chances of exiting to housing are around 16%. This is not a condemnation of the shelter programs. Working with a homeless person to find housing puts you in an uphill battle against most housing, health, legal, and broader social systems. Instead, I use it to demonstrate the fanciful logic of this report. It reduces an exceptionally complex population and the highly variable work of the housing case management to averages, tweaks a few data points, and conjures a better number.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if anybody doesn't have enough time to finish their verbal testimony, you can always give it to our board clerk and they can make sure it gets distributed as written testimony. Okay, good evening. Sir, you can go ahead.
Hi, my name is Zebulon Hannon. I'm here on behalf of Our Just Future in the Economic Opportunity Program, which I have participated in starting at the end of August. At that time, I was sober but sleeping behind a coffee shop, unemployed, with legal, medical, and psychological barriers, including things like not having ID and basic social things. Also, I was involved in a very high-profile public attack at the library, which created many other problems. John Cairns from Our Just Future took me on and immediately, literally came to me where I was at, took me to a phone store, got me all the things to be employed. Today, I am Site B manager for Cascadia Clusters, which trains people in building tiny homes. I'm the lead designer and foreman. I have a healthy salary. I'm off food stamps, healthy and housed. I encourage you to continue supporting the Economic Opportunity Program, as for people like me, it was the bridge absolutely out of here. At the same time, my colleague at Street Roots could not get into the program. He is still on the streets. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. You can go ahead.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Troy Ramsey. I'm here on behalf of POYC, a Home for Everyone Equal Opportunity Program. I spent 24 years in prison, and I got introduced to the POYC program, a Home for Everyone, which was a great godsend for me, because it gave me, came out, didn't know if I had the skills or not to be productive out here in society. And one of the things was, by getting introduced to POYC, I was able to learn those skills. I also was able to get help with rental assistance, which was great at the moment because getting employment was super hard with that felony on my record. So every time I went for a job, as soon as that felony came up, then it was super hard for me to gain employment. But I also was able to, through the peer program that they offered, I also had somebody to talk to. So at times when I was struggling, POYC at Home for Everyone was always there for me. They always picked the phone up. They always opened the door for me. So that was always a good sign that, hey, I can do this with the support and the help that I had. I got my forklifting certification. Right now I'm working on my CDL certification. I've also been able to refer other people to the program to also get help. So I'm here today to say, don't cut the funds for this. This is also helping reduce the recidivism rate in the community, because without programs like this, the only option is to go back to what we know, and we don't want to go back to what we want to know. And by having these programs, then we can stop that. And by cutting funding to programs like this, then guys like me that get out, that think we have a chance, and we don't have a chance because there's no programs out here for us to be able to do the stuff to be successful in the community. We've harmed the community, but we want to give back to the community we harm. And the only way to do that is by having programs like this that can say, hey, we see you. Because that's all we want to do, is we just want to be seen so that we have the opportunity to be successful in the community and show. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hello, Multnomah County Commissioners. My name is Kimberly Torres. I am currently a participant in a Home for Everyone employment program. Before I came a Home for Everyone program, my life looked very different. I was a single mom stuck in the streets doing things I was not proud of myself, things I should have never been doing. I felt trapped, like there was no way out. Then a Home for Everyone coach came into my life. She didn't just give me advice, she believed in me before I believed in myself. She helped me realize that I could have a completely better life. A life didn't have to be that way. And honestly, she wasn't just a coach. She was more like counseling and a therapist all in one. A Home for Everyone didn't just help me figure it out what career I wanted. They showed me that I could build a completely different life for myself and my children's. They helped me get a rental system, find a home, cover bills like phone, electric bills. They took a huge load of stress out of my shoulders. Now I'm in such a better place. My children have a stable mom who is working forward in a career in early childhood education through a scholarship. I will continue my training and complete in the next few months. I will be working in a preschool position teacher. I want to become the person I didn't have in my own life for my children. I thank you to a Home for Everyone program. You didn't just change my life, but you also changed my children's life, and I ask that you continue to fund employment programs so single mothers like me have a chance to change our lives.
Thank you. Next up, we have Susan McHarris, Nicholas Bohm, Shannon Gillen, Hezekiah Rinn, and the next four will be Jana Hack, Bridget Lynch, Megan Bender-Stefanski, and Jenna Oglesby.
Thank you. Good evening. You can go ahead and begin.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Oh, and just hit the button right in front of you. There you go.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Susan McCarris, and I'm a case manager for our eviction legal defense team at Metropolitan Public Defender. I'm urging the county to reconsider cuts to the Department of County Human Services budget, and specifically to maintain funding for Program 25131C. I've been working as a case manager with community law for just under a year now and have had the privilege of supporting almost 90 different households who were at risk of eviction. Our clients come from various walks of life. They're parents, grandparents, teachers, TriMet workers, and behavioral health specialists. The only thing that our clients have in common is their low-income status. This means that the majority of folks who I work with face the risk of eviction due to some sort of emergency, which has prevented them from paying rent. For example, this winter I worked with an individual whose progressive disability resulted in her needing to leave her job of over 20 years. In a vicious cycle, her symptoms had worsened with the daily climbs to her second-floor unit, but living paycheck to paycheck, she never had the money to move. After 2 months of searching, she landed a new job, but was now facing eviction due to not having paid her rent. Luckily, with legal support from her attorney and advocacy from myself, I'm happy to say that she's now stably housed and in a ground floor unit, which meets her accessibility needs. But without this support, I worry that she would have ended up like thousands of Multnomah County residents do each year, with an eviction judgment. I'm sure you know this, but it makes it incredibly hard to be approved for rental housing. And even if you are approved, you face increased financial penalties through high security deposits. Since 2023, our governor has declared that Oregon is in a state of emergency regarding homelessness. We cannot cut funding to programs like 25131C that prevent eviction and expect the situation to improve, which is why I hope that the commissioners can reconsider the 2026-2027 proposed budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Hezekiah Rin, and I'm a mental health consultant with the county's early childhood team. I urgently request you to reconsider proposed cuts to the fiscal year 2027 executive budget, which calls for a reduction of 2 FTEs to my team. Even a relatively small cut like this one has significant consequences for children and family in Multnomah County. Our team is small but mighty. When a child ages 5 or below requires support to function in their school or at home, our team is critical in linking them to and directly providing the services they need. For caregivers, we fill a unique role in ensuring that they are confident in navigating systems to secure crucial early intervention services for their kiddos. Our team is consistently the swiftest, most knowledgeable, and have the community relationships necessary to respond. We're not just mental health therapists. We're advocates, social workers, care coordinators, and in most cases, a lifeline for overwhelmed families and educators alike. Our home-based services provides critical social and emotional developmental tools for the entire family. In schools, we provide support to children who have experienced traumatic events such as intimate partner violence, loss of a parent, or housing insecurities, just to name a few. This will help them lead healthy and protective lives later on. Additionally, these cuts have economic and societal implications. A 2025 published review of 25 economic evaluations show that for every $1 spent on an early intervention program, you get $11 back in value through reduced future healthcare and criminal justice system costs. I urgently ask you to reconsider these budget cuts, not just for the early childhood team, but direct clinical services as a whole. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Multnomah County Commissioners. My name is Shannon Gillen, and my clean date is February 5th, 2024. 18 years, that's how long I was homeless, 18 brutal years. While I had already been clean and sober for 14 months when I found Cultivate Initiatives, I was completely stuck. I didn't have a job, a driver's license, confidence in my appearance with broken and missing teeth, no hope, no clue how to function in society anymore. And that's when I found something amazing at Cultivate. I found my self-worth and that I was actually worth investing in. I started the 2-week-long low-barrier paid internship at Cultivate, where I worked alongside the beautification team, all of whom have had lived experience and faced similar hardships. After the program, the employment specialist helped me write a resume, which I had not had for over 18 years. And after meeting with the team a few times, they encouraged me to apply for the health and hygiene one-year apprentice position at Cultivate, and I actually got it, a full-time position with benefits, my first real job in nearly 2 decades. Cultivate gave me the support I needed to transform back into a regular job. In the first month, I got my broken teeth removed and waited for my dentures. I moved into a home where I pay rent like an adjusted adult. I took my driving test and received my driver's license back after 12 years. After receiving my first paycheck in over 18 years, I opened a bank account, a savings account. I put my car in my name, got car insurance for the first time in what felt like forever. Because of the stability I found at Cultivate, I was able to buy a plane ticket to Oklahoma the last Christmas to see my father. I hadn't seen him in 18 years. Together, we went to my tribe, and I got my federally recognized identification card, and I met with the spiritual leaders to find out about my family history, and my dad got to be a part of that. A month later, I flew back for his funeral. I got to say goodbye. He got to see me clean and sober, working, growing, and actually thriving at life. That was priceless. Working with Cultivate didn't just give me hope and opportunities, it helped me grow into myself. It dragged the responsible adult out of me that I had completely forgotten existed. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hello, thank you for your time tonight, Commissioners. My name is Nick Bohm. I am the co-executive director of Ground Score Association, but I'm not here to talk about Ground Score Association specifically tonight. I'm here to talk about workforce development more broadly. Because of those programs are being cut, and in my experience, this is a mistake that everyone in Multnomah County will end up paying for. There are a lot of reasons why people end up locked out of the economy. But nearly all of them share one thing: joblessness. Employment, personal income, independence, these are the end game of pretty much any homeless service. Shelters, recovery programs, addiction treatment, even law enforcement, of course, all of those are essential. But if the people utilizing those services are not given a path back into the workforce, they stay dependent on those services and locked out of the economy. And as the population in need grows, often driven by our enforcement itself, budgets become overwhelmed, budgets that are already being cut in this cycle. Workforce development, when done correctly, is the end cap of a continuum of care. It converts people in crisis into working people, taxpayers, voters. But it seems that it is always on the chopping block in hard times and the last in line when things improve. We treat it as a luxury, but it's not. Take the work that we do at Ground Score, for example. We clean up litter, debris, illegal dumping, camps that have become too unruly or messy. Those services are not going away. They'll be done by someone else, and probably at a higher expense than Ground Score, without the added benefit of developing a workforce for those in need. They will become, the people in our program will likely return to the streets, only to become a burden to cleaning and homeless service budgets rather than a part of the solution that these organizations were designed to address. Long-term, the savings sought in cutting workforce would likely never materialize. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Jana Hack, Bridget Lynch, Meg Bender-Stefanski, and Jenna Oglesby. And the 4 after that will be Neil Lee, Camille Irwin Cordero, Jack Fluker, and Kim Fila.
Hey, good evening. If you're ready, you can go ahead and begin. Thank you.
Good evening. I want to share a little bit about my story. My name is Jenna Oglesby. I moved here from Arizona in 2023 and ended up in Tillamook, where I was living in a tent and just trying to get through each day. I didn't have stability and I wasn't sure what my next step was going to be. At that point, I connected with a crisis manager who encouraged me to reach out for more support with a case manager named Tuesday who worked at Central City Concern, the 8x8 program. That led me to Portland, where I stayed at a women's shelter and was referred to Central City Concern. I entered treatment there, and while I was in the program, I got connected to the Employment Access Center. I started working with an EOP career coach who helped me build a plan and take real steps towards employment. With that support, I applied for a job for FedEx and got it.
Through the Employment Access Center, I also received help with rental assistance, which made it possible for me to move into my own apartment. That combination of employment support and housing assistance gave me the stability I needed to move forward. Today, I'm working at a sober living house, supporting other women who are going through recovery just like I did. I've been able to rebuild my life in a way I didn't think was possible when I was living in that tent. Programs like the EOP, rental assistance, and IOP treatment services through Central City Concern has made it possible for me. Without them, I don't know where I would be. I ask that you continue to fund and support these programs so that others have the same opportunity I had to move from homelessness to stability and to give back to their community. Thank you for listening to my story.
Hi, I'm Bridget Lynch, Crescent Sun Manager. Why is cutting $1.2 million from Sun Community Schools acceptable? Sun is more than after-school enrichment. Sun provides safe, supervised after-school care that many families rely on for their child care, academic enrichment and mentoring, basic needs for families including access to food and resource navigation, mental health, community connections, and so much more. Cutting Sun funding would harm low-income families, working parents, immigrant families, students of color, and students who need extra academic support in our community. With everything that is happening in the world right now, our students need us more than ever. They need stability. Many students had their learning stunted during COVID with distance learning, and many of them experienced a month of school closures due to teacher strikes. Now it feels like schools are being punished for those strikes, even though teachers and school staff are not receiving anywhere near the amount of money and support they deserve. What is going to happen to families that are most vulnerable? A priority of Sun Community Schools is to serve those most at risk. So how do those communities get served if the resources are cut off? What happens to families that have deaf and hard of hearing students that come to Creston for our deaf and hard of hearing program? What happens to families that have students with disabilities that need schools like Buckman for their art-based curriculum that is more suited for neurodivergent brains? Where will Whitman families turn, whose only after-school support is Sun? What happens to students of families that are immigrants, English language learners, and already are struggling to integrate into our society? I want to ask what your priorities are. Are your pocketbooks only open for things that feel like a financial investment because you see money being returned? Is investing in communities such a low priority that you can justify closing 9 Sun sites? Does it not feel like a worthy investment to provide resources to children? Cutting the funds to Sun increases the likelihood of unsupervised kids on the streets, loss of jobs, food, and resource support for families. By cutting funding to Sun, we are limiting the success of our children. When I see schools, after-school programs, and shelters on the chopping block, our most at risk do not feel like a priority, but feel expendable. If you share the same values as I do, please put your money where your mouth is and show us by protecting our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. And then just don't forget to hit the button. There you go.
Good evening. My name is Meg Bender. I've worked at Impact Northwest as a housing case manager for 4 years. I'm here today to ask you all to reconsider the proposed cuts to the Multnomah Stability Initiative and Sun Schools. If our community's goal is to prevent homelessness, MSI has been an incredibly successful program in doing so. This year, Impact Northwest served over 200 folks through MSI, and 96% of those folks exiting the program transitioned to stable housing. 54% were people of color, and 60% spoke a language other than English. This year, Impact Northwest served over 2,000 children and adults through our Sun programming. 78% reported increased life stability, and 74% reported being connected to new resources and opportunities. These two programs are essential to our communities. I understand there have to be cuts somewhere due to budget shortfalls, but these programs lead to housing stability for some of our most vulnerable community members. We need upstream supports to keep people in stable housing and slow the current inflow we have of folks entering into homelessness. Our current system of prioritizing shelters and short-term supports is not successful. I call on you all as our leaders to find a pathway forward that safeguards these vital services. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jana Haak, and I represent Impact Northwest as one of the current regional providers of Multnomah Stability Initiative, or MSI. I'm here today to urge you to preserve regional MSI funding in the FY27 budget. In its own budget and planning documents, the county says its priorities are preventing homelessness and evictions, maintaining economic stability for families, and supporting immigrants and refugees. Regional MSI already advances all of these goals. It is an eviction prevention program that serves families with children who are still housed, but at severe risk of homelessness. Through long-term assertive engagement, MSI provides flexible, family-centered case management that helps families stabilize and move away from the risk of becoming homeless. In this fiscal year alone, Impact Northwest has served 40 households through regional MSI, 173 individuals who stayed housed because of these services. 72% of these people came from communities of color and immigrant communities. 58% spoke a language other than English at home. Further, nearly 95% of families who worked with our MSI team in the last 3 years remained stably housed 12 months after exiting the program. Many of those families have also submitted written testimonies describing their experience with MSI and the impact that losing this support would have on their communities. This simple statistic shows that a regional MSI is already working and that it is serving the very communities the county says wants to prioritize. It shows that regional MSI is not separate from equity goals. It is one of the ways those goals are actually put into practice through community-based organizations that are culturally responsive like ours, and especially through our staff who come from, reflect, and speak languages of the communities we serve. Staff whose livelihoods are now being jeopardized by these proposed funding cuts. If the county wants to stay true to its set priorities, I urge you to look at the data, follow through on the commitments, and preserve regional MSI funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Neil Lee, Camille Irwin Cordero, Jack Fluker, and Kim Fila. And our next four are going to be Annette Majeko-Dunmi, Ethan Ackerman, Leslie Nelson, and Carl McPherson.
Thank you. If you're ready, you can go ahead. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Camille Irwin Cordero. Thank you for this opportunity to speak this evening. I'm here to emphasize why culturally specific counseling is essential for youth in communities that have been historically impacted by trauma and violence. The Gun Violence Behavioral Health Team is not a one-size-fits-all. Our youth carry the weight of layered trauma, exposure to violence, and navigating systems that were not designed for them in mind. When counseling fails to reflect lived experience, culture, and community context, youth are less likely to engage, trust, or heal. Culturally specific counseling creates spaces where young people feel seen, heard, and understood, and they make it feel safe. It builds trust, it strengthens identity, and it interrupts cycles of harm, addressing the root cause of trauma. This is prevention, this is healing, and this is equity in action. I am asking Multnomah County to prioritize ongoing dedicated funds for community-based, culturally responsive behavioral health for services for youth, not pilot dollars, not temporary fixes, but sustained investments. If we are serious about equity, safety, and long-term fiscal responsibility, the funding must be part of the county's core health strategy. Thank you for your leadership and commitment to our youth.
Thank you. Good evening.
First, I would like to thank the commissioners for having me. My name is Jack Fluker, and I am a participant in the CHI program. I made a mistake over a year ago where I took something that wasn't mine, and it got me on probation. Being in the juvenile system, they offer stuff like they offer programs like the CHI program, which offers a mentor. The mentor's job is to keep students busy with positive activities like basketball, dinners, and a lot of field trips. Really fun. My favorite being K1 Speed, where we drive go-karts and go 40 miles per hour. The CHI program has taught me to be responsible and most of all, love myself, and the importance of being a role model for my younger siblings, which I take seriously. How do I do that, you may ask? I do that by keeping a 3.7 GPA where I used to have under a 2.0. I follow all rules at school and at home, and I take pride in being a positive person in the community. I have received numerous offers to play college football, which I could have never seen in my atmosphere. And now I'm gonna read a little article here that came out a few days ago. The Broncos last season made a successful return to 5A, posting their first winning record since 2019, with the 5'11", 170-pound Fluker receiving all-conference honorable mention on defense with 3 interceptions. He caught 15 passes for 261 yards and 4 touchdowns. Quote, Jack is a dynamic two-way player who is embracing an increased role as a leader and a playmaker who has been committed to developing his skill set, Park Rose coach Paris Penn said. Quote, he is a player ready to show out, not just for himself, but to help drive the continued growth for our growth program at Park Rose. My mentor always told me the world is mine, and it's a privilege for him to be in my atmosphere. And I believe the world is mine, and I will continue to do so. Thank you, Arthur and the chocolate team.
Thank you. Good evening. You can go ahead.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Kim Villa, she, her pronouns. I'm the Chief Family and Wellness Officer at POIC. Annually, POIC serves over 3,000 youth and families across Multnomah County. County investment in POIC provides coordinated wraparound services across our 4 core areas: education, employment and training, community safety, and family and health. POIC HEALS reflects our commitment to whole person family care that advances community well-being, reduces isolation, and addresses the social determinants of health. We are grateful for the county's investment in the Community Healing Initiative, serving justice-involved youth and families with credible messengers. Without continued funding through the Health Department's Gun Violence Resource Team, POIC will lose the ability to provide trusted, community-based prevention-focused care that bridges families to needed mental health services. We appreciate your support for Elevate, serving men on probation and parole through intensive case management and mentoring. We urge continued investment in a Home for Everyone economics opportunity program because housing stability is foundational to health, education, and employment. As you listen to the POIC stories today, we come to you together with a clear call. Continue investing in community-based organizations like POIC. POIC HEALS. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and your continued partnership.
Thank you. Good evening. That's your cue.
Good evening, Chair Vega Peterson and Commissioners. My name is Neil Lee, Vice President of the Oregon Chinese Consolidated Benevolent Association. For nearly 150 years, the CCBA has served the Portland's Chinese community. The CCBA was entrusted with the care of the Chinese section of the Lone Fir Cemetery until Multnomah County ordered its removal. What happened at Block 14 was an erasure. Thousands of Chinese immigrants were buried there. Hundreds of graves were displaced, some even bulldozed and nearly forgotten. Last May, in this very room, Multnomah County took an important step forward. The formal apology, along with the initial $1 million investment in the Lone Fir Chinese Memorial, marked the beginning of healing. Construction has begun, but it's not finished. The county committed a total of $2.5 million for this project. The remaining $1.5 million intended for the 2027 budget is not currently included. But this afternoon, Commissioner Brim Edwards introduced an amendment to add that $1.5 million in capital funding for the Lone Fir Memorial, co-sponsored by Commissioner Moyer. We are grateful for this leadership. I urge you to support and adopt this amendment because an apology without full follow-through risks becoming symbolism, not accountability. The Lone Fir Chinese Memorial is more than a project. It is a place of remembrance, cultural practice, and education for future generations. The Chinese community has waited for generations. This is the moment to see it through. Thank you for your time and for all you do for our community.
Thank you.
Next, we have Annette Majekadunmi, Ethan Ackerman, Leslie Nelson, and Carl McPherson. And the next 4 up will be Trevor Bowsley, Sonia Good-Stefani, Anna Aziz Khani, and Anna Kernizki.
All right, good evening. If you're ready, you can go ahead and begin. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Ethan Ackerman. I'm a legal assistant at Metropolitan Public Defender's Community Law Division. I'm here to ask this county to fund Program 25131C, the Eviction Prevention Support Program, at the same level as the previous fiscal year. Every day, I work with clients by helping them restore their licenses, apply for immigration benefits, and most importantly, help clients stay housed. Many of the clients I work with speak a language other than English and are immigrants navigating a world in a completely different language. One client came to us after receiving an eviction notice they couldn't read. Her landlord had misapplied her rental assistance payment for another tenant, and so this client was served an eviction notice for non-payment of rent. Our client was very confused because she had navigated the entire rental assistance program entirely in a second language without legal aid. With the help of the attorneys in my office, we were able to work with her and figure out what had gone wrong because of the Eviction Prevention Support Program. With legal representation, she and many others can continue living in the same space and focus on their future here in Portland. What I see in my work is that housing isn't just where you rest, it's a floor beneath everything else. Your ability to work, keep your kids, stay sober, and start fresh. When that floor disappears, especially as an immigrant in 2026, everything can collapse at once. The Eviction Prevention Program is part of the floor that keeps families, immigrants, and community members together. Keeping someone housed, I believe, is always cheaper than helping them recover from losing it. I urge this county to continue funding this program at its previous fiscal year level. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hello, my name is Annette Majekadunmi. I'm a Senior Program Manager for the CHI program. Thank you, Chair Vega Pedersen and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. On behalf of the families and youth that I see, such as Jack, come through the Community Healing Initiative, it gives me great pride because I was once there. I was a parent who had a son in juvenile legal systems, and along the way, I came across the CHI program. So I'm in there from the ground up to show other parents what they can do what the program can do as an intervention strategy to help families persevere throughout a very trying time for their kids. Because not only is the child going through upheavals through the system, the parents are too. So what the Community Healing Initiative does is give parents hope, restoration, healing, that they too can help their families navigate through a very tough system. And as the system comes together, it's not only juvenile justice. We find that there's school issues, there could be mental health, behavioral health issues that we help at the Community Healing Initiative help parents navigate through. So I'm asking today for, on behalf of those families and those youths, for services to be maintained for the Community Healing Initiative. It's very important that families know that there's a place to go where they can receive support and care. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to present tonight. My name is Leslie Nelson. I'm a lifetime Portland resident. I currently live in District 1. I have been an attorney with the Metropolitan Public Defender since 1990 when I started as a misdemeanor attorney. I currently work in the Community Law Division where I am a managing attorney for the housing team, and I have a team of about eight attorneys, 4 legal assistants, and 1 case manager who you heard from earlier, who work with housing prevention. We work on landlord-tenant cases, and we also work on collateral consequence cases, all in an effort to prevent people from getting evicted or to help people get rehoused and reduce barriers to housing. Today, I was in court this morning with a client on a first appearance, and this afternoon, I was in court, landlord-tenant court, on a trial. Both of those cases we were able to resolve without having the clients have evictions. So that's something our attorneys do on a daily basis, trying to work with clients to prevent them from having evictions. I'm urging you to continue funding our eviction prevention program, offer number 25131C. I believe it's our attorneys do an important service in helping to prevent homelessness, an important service for our clients and also for the community. Under the program, we provide eviction defense services to 300 low-income Multnomah County residents who have received an eviction notice or have an eviction filed in court each year. Each week, we receive more calls and referrals than we can handle. It's intimidating for our clients who have to go to court without representation. As you heard from Stephanie, one of my attorneys earlier, she talked about how scary it is for our clients to get that notice that says that they have to be out by a certain date. And I'm urging you to continue to fund our program. I appreciate you letting me testify tonight.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Chair Vega-Peterson and Commissioners. My name is Carl McPherson. I'm the Executive Director of Metropolitan Public Defender. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about our eviction defense program 25131C. My request on behalf of MPD is that you fully restore funding to that program. Sonia Good-Stefani, the Director of our Community Law Department, I know is going to give testimony tonight and provide you with statistics. So my goal really is to talk to you about how important eviction defense is for our community, how it's important to public safety, and how we see the intersection between houselessness and criminal activity in our community. Keeping people housed, not just anecdotally from our experience, but also research shows, is how you keep people out of the criminal legal system. So this program is incredibly important to make certain that individuals that have housing are not evicted. They're not put in danger, peril of becoming unsuccessful in the community because of a loss of housing, but we can keep them in housing and make certain that they are successful. I'd also indicate that there are cities across the country that deal with houselessness issues and housing that do have right to counsel programs, so that individuals have a right to receive representation against a landlord and their counsel when they're being evicted, which is such a serious issue and has significant implications for the individual. We are not there as a community and understand that. Just don't want to see us go backwards. I want to see us keep what we have now and continue that forward, because I know how important it is for public safety. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and we appreciate all that you have done up until this point and will continue to do in the future for our community and for public safety. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Trevor Bowlesley, Sonia Good-Stefani, Anna Azizkhani, and Anna Kernizki. And after that, we'll have Jesus Salazar, Ali, Cara Fawn, and Sahan McKelvey.
Hi, good afternoon, good evening. You can go ahead and begin.
Hello, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Sonia Good-Stefani, and I am the Director of the Community Law Department at the Metropolitan Public Defender's Office. As Carl said, I'm here tonight to urge you to fully fund our eviction prevention program. He promised that I would give you statistics, so I better do it because he's my boss. So through this program, we provide 300 households with full scope eviction defense representation. That's deep dive services from the moment they get a notice until the case goes to trial or is dismissed. 42% of all of the evictions in this state happen in this county. Last year, that was over 12,000 filed eviction cases. And that's just the eviction cases that end up in court. There are many, many thousands more where people just get notices. 65% of landlords have lawyers. 15% of tenants have lawyers. Eviction cases are some of the fastest moving civil cases on the docket. So we focus our efforts, because we only have 300 spots, on those who need us the most. 70% of our clients are at less than 30% of the area median income. 37% of those are families with children under the age of 18. 61% of our clients identify as BIPOC. and a third of them are people who self-identify as people with disabilities. In 2025, besides our intake line, which Trevor is going to talk about, and he better do it because I'm his boss, we got referrals from 25 different community-based organizations who rely on our eviction defense services. And many times, our clients have tried to get help from multiple sources before they come to us. We have an almost 90% positive outcome rate, which means that the majority of the time, we're able to accomplish what our clients want. Most of the time, that's maintaining housing, but sometimes it's a move-out agreement without an eviction on your record and without owing money to your past landlord so that you can get new housing. Thank you so much for listening to me tonight.
Thank you.
Trevor, you're up.
Yeah. Good evening, Trevor.
Good evening. My name is Trevor Balsley. I'm a legal assistant with community law at Metropolitan Public Defender, and I handle both our intake line and the process for the grant for eviction defense funded by Program 25131C, which this year's budget will cut by 67%. I ask that that funding remain at the same level for this fiscal year. I know quite well from my own experiences running our legal helpline, our intake line, just how dire the housing crisis is for so many people in our communities throughout Multnomah County. I'm constantly overwhelmed by the sheer number of calls from people seeking help and assistance for active and ongoing eviction cases. I spend many hours a week speaking to Multnomah County residents facing imminent eviction and housing insecurity because of it. I cannot begin to express the level of fear, the level of desperation that I hear from so many members of our community who are just trying to keep themselves housed and off of the streets. In a system where landlords and property managers are often represented by large, well-resourced legal firms, renters without legal representation are easily intimidated, pushed around, not given the whole picture or advised on all of their options throughout the eviction process. Legal representation for these people, the most vulnerable members of our communities, is a lifeline. The programs available to low-income renters in Multnomah County at the current funding level is already far behind our neighbors in Washington State. They've set a standard where every low-income member of their community facing eviction has a guaranteed right to counsel in eviction cases, and that's been the case since 2021. Yet this budget proposal plans to set us even further back from the standard set by them 5 years ago. Even when renters can't find the funds to cure eviction cases and they result in lease termination, having counsel and advice from an attorney can still be invaluable. Having an advocate who can negotiate in your best interest to sign a move-out agreement, to keep an eviction off your record, can potentially, waive housing debt, give renters enough time to find a place to land, and give them the ability to find new housing and not have a record that shows that they have a past eviction and the debt that goes with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, my name is Anna, and I'm here to talk about animal services. Thank you to the chair for proposing to keep 2 of the 3 animal enrichment positions. Like every other department, we want the frontline workers involved with direct care to be preserved. One of the recommendations to this commission from the 2016 audit was to provide animal services with the funding to increase staffing as needed to meet minimum national standards for providing care. 10 years later, we're still not there. In 2023, industry standards recommended a staffing range of 15.6 to 25.9 employees per day for direct care, with MCAS at only about 8. In response to the chair's review, the 2024 budget increased that number of animal care techs, but that increase only equated to 11 employees involved with direct care per day, expecting volunteers to fill in the gap. The 2027 budget still puts the number of direct care staff under the recommended range. In this time of budget cuts, we are not asking for increased funding, instead simply reevaluate the structure of animal services to ensure that funding is being used effectively and efficiently to meet the goals of the 2016 audit, namely the improvement of animal welfare. Thank you, Commissioner Burm-Edwards, for your amendment to restore the 3rd enrichment position by diverting the funds from the vacant office assistant role, but I believe that role has already been cut. But there are other places to look. We have found discrepancies within the 2027 budget and reality. For example, the intake number for fiscal year 25 in this budget was reported as 8,178, whereas the MCAS annual report shows 7,360. That's a difference of 11%. Also, the 2024 budget created a medical director position that continued forward. The 2026 budget allows for 1 full-time medical director, 1 full-time vet, and 1 half-time vet. But the current organizational chart and the employee list shows 3 vets, 2 at 70% 5%, one at 50%, and a vacant medical director. Please address what is not working at MCAS through cleaning up this budget and allocating more towards direct care staff, trainers, and a medical director. Through the budget, make appropriate changes that not only better reflect the values of the residents, but also fulfill the findings from the past audits, follow-ups, and reviews.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Chair Vega-Peterson and Commissioners. I'm Anna Kornitsky, Executive Director of Community Warehouse, our region's only furniture bank. I'm here to urge you to include a supportive housing services contract with Community Warehouse in the FY 2026 budget. Especially in a deficit year, this contract would be smart fiscal policy that improves outcomes, and I'll explain why. First, it eliminates resource duplication and improves system efficiency. Because Community Warehouse lacks consistent public funding, we cannot guarantee specific items or services except under our Washington County contract. This forces Multnomah County agencies to duplicate our work. Some housing providers are purchasing, storing, and distributing beds. Some agencies are running donation campaigns for kitchen items and linens. Provider staff time and warehouse space are devoted to furniture logistics instead of housing people. This is a waste of resources. The entire point of our model is to streamline getting households everything they need: beds, kitchenware, linens, furniture, delivery, and save everyone time, money, and headache. Housing providers should focus on housing people while we handle furniture logistics. Second, it improves housing retention and equity. HSD says this year's budget goals prioritize housing placements and retention. Furniture is foundational to those goals. Furnished homes have higher retention rates, meaning fewer people cycling back into homelessness, lower rehousing costs, and less strain on emergency services. A county contract would ensure equitable access. Every qualified household gets complete furnishings, not just those whose provider happens to have extra budget or donation connections. Third, the funding pathway exists. Multiple partner agencies have told us they have unspent funds in existing HSD contracts that could support a community warehouse contract. This isn't new money, it's already committed housing dollars that could be deployed more strategically. Additionally, consider what you're currently paying through the inefficient system: provider staff managing furniture logistics, warehouse space, fragmented purchasing, administrative overhead. A streamlined contract costs less than these patchwork expenses. And lastly, why this is urgent: federal and state cuts are decimating provider budgets. Furniture poverty is at an all-time high, while resources are at an all-time low. Thank you. I also shout out to some partners here tonight: Cultivate Initiatives, POIC, SCI, Impact Northwest, Central City Concern. Appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jesus Salazar, Ali Ali, Cara Fan, and Sahan McKelvey. And the next four will be Ellen Damasceno, Nili Yosha, DeAndre Kenyon Jui, and Soko or Eth. Jesus, you can begin.
Hi, my name is Jesus Vega Salazar. I'm here today on behalf of the CHI Elevate program. The program is a very helpful program for those who are struggling financially and work-wise. They have help with food-wise as well, helping out with $200 worth of food, hygiene, and house essentials. And from somebody from a Mexican household family, that is a lot of money and a lot of support financially. I was incarcerated for 5.5 years, and I struggled quickly as soon as I was released from prison. And from being raised around a gang-structured family, I struggled finding the right path and knowing where to, being a positive influence towards my family and my nephews as well. And the CHI program has helped me with that as well. As soon as I enrolled into the CHI program, I was assigned a mentor that was suited for my best benefits and that fitted me well, meaning he or she had been in the same path that I was, and so pretty much knew what I had been through. So yeah. As I've said, as I mentioned, I was incarcerated for 5.5 years, so seeking work was a big priority for me, being released from prison, and not knowing what I was good at and where I could apply at. CHI was able to help me out and by referring me to a program called Leaders Become Legends, where I'm getting solar panel installation, training, and electrician. And upon graduating, I will get work afterwards. So I believe that funding this program will be beneficial towards the youth as well, and our future parolees are being released from prison. Thank you for giving me this time to speak.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, you did great. Thank you. Good evening. You can go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
Good evening, Chair Vega Peterson and Commissioners. My name is Ali, and a year ago, I wouldn't have imagined standing here speaking to you today. That's because of programs like Shy Elevate through POIC. These programs gave me a space where I could actually show my potential and build on it. I also want to acknowledge Michael Bretto Jackson, who played a big role in helping me through that transition and supporting me along the way. Before I joined, I was caught up in an environment that kept pulling me in the wrong direction, and I kept getting into trouble, which was holding me back. I didn't really have structure or the right support system. Once I got connected with these programs, that started to change. They gave me structure, guidance, and people who actually showed up for me. They helped remove real barriers in my life, whether that was making sure I could go to work or court or just checking in and keep me accountable. That consistency made a difference. Because of that, I haven't been in trouble with my probation officer or the law in almost 2 years. I was able to get a job with the solar panel company, and I earned a certification in electricity and solar work. Do leaders become legends? That's the kind of impact these programs have. It gives people a real opportunity to grow and move in a better direction. I'm standing here as proof that it works, and I'm asking you to not cut the budgets for these programs, but to increase funding so they can reach more people who need it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Good evening.
Good evening, County Commissioners and Chair. My name is Kara Fawn, and I am the Workforce Director at Cultivate Initiatives. I am here representing Cultivate Initiatives and the importance of employment programs in general. Housing is an important part of the county budget. However, investing in only housing is not a sustainable long-term solution for stability for our most marginalized and vulnerable community members. We have a team member who 2 years ago went through our 2-week internship. She became a health and hygiene apprentice and finished her 1-year program, soon moving to a position on our housing team. She was living on the streets the entire time. Even though her housing instability and barriers due to her eviction records held her back, she didn't give up. She showed up to work. She navigated her barriers with her supportive management team and coworkers. She just got accepted into housing 1 month ago. Her story demonstrates that housing and employment aren't always linear, but that employment restored hope and stability. These programs are essential to housing initiatives, not secondary. Funding one without the other will not solve the issue. Combining these efforts changes lives. When you have been chronically homeless, recovering from substance abuse, experiencing barriers like a felony record, domestic violence, or other forms of systemic barriers, it is not realistic to expect someone to be successful in indoor living and housing without sustainable support systems. Employment services are essential to not gain only income, but to gain hope and to retain housing, to gain purpose. Folks living on the streets have been in survival mode, and transitioning out of that survival mode takes time. It takes a rebuilding of trust, and it takes intentional support. This is why it is essential that the county put funding for employment pathways and workforce development back into the budget, at least at the levels it was at the previous fiscal year, for Cultivate Initiatives and for other workforce development programs. Our programs don't just create work, they give back to the community. Our workforce team removes over 1 million pounds of garbage per year from Portland streets, employs over 28 supportive work positions, and we do over 10,000 showers a year, providing preventative health care. Work for the community that works for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Chair Vega Peterson and Commissioners. My name is Sahan McKelvey, and I am the Director of Advocacy and Engagement at Self-Enhancement, Inc., a long-standing partner in the SUN service system. Through SUN, SEI supports thousands of children and families across Multnomah County, from Roosevelt to Reynolds High School, by providing learning opportunities, crisis prevention, case management, family engagement, workforce supports, improved school attendance, and behavioral health services. These are not supplemental programs. These are foundational programs that keep families stable and children connected. For children of color and low-income families, these services are essential. We know that by the 6th grade, kids in low-income households, particularly children of color, face a learning opportunity gap of up to 6,000 hours outside the school day compared to their more affluent peers. Sun schools are one of our most effective tools to close this gap and expand real access to opportunity. Sun also works because MSI addresses the full reality of what impacts educational success: food insecurity, housing instability, unemployment, mental health challenges, and system involvement. Addressing these issues separately strains our safety net. The Sun system allows us to leverage services together for maximum impact and prevention. In a moment where public trust in government is already fragile, cutting back Sun funding just 1 year into a 5-year contract would cause real harm that many families would not recover from. This is not the time to pull back. SAI is not advocating for restoration out of self-interest. We're advocating because restoring Sun funding is the best decision for the county, for us, for our partners, and for our community. Multnomah County has stated its commitment to racial equity, social justice, and essential services. Restoring Sun funding is an opportunity to stand on those values. At SAI, we say life has options. In this moment, you have an option too. Please choose to restore Sun service system funding in full for both school sites and MSI. Thank you.
Thank you. And right on the buzzer. Thank you.
Next, we have Ellen Damasceno, Nili Yosha, DeAndre Kenyon Jui, and Soko Eth. And our next 4 will be Etta Harris, Tricia Patterson, Julia Mines, and Veronica Oro.
Good evening. Since you're all ready, please go ahead and begin.
Great. Good evening, Chair Vega-Peterson and Commissioners. My name is Ellen Damasceno. I'm the Executive Director of Stone Soup PDX. We stand with our partners in urging you to protect employment services in this year's budget. At Stone Soup, we work with people navigating homelessness, reentry, and systematic barriers. What we see every day is clear. Employment isn't separate from housing stability. It's what makes it possible. Since 2019, we've served over 280 participants. Nearly 90% complete our program, and more than half secure employment within 3 months. Securing employment means securing housing, directly advancing your stated goals to reduce homelessness and increase housing placement. If we are serious about reducing homelessness and increasing housing placement, then we must invest in what works, because securing employment means securing housing. Cuts to employment services don't just reduce programs, they disrupt pathways out of homelessness and weaken every other investment in housing. We know the choices before you are difficult. We're here in solidarity with our partners and the people we serve to ask you to protect what works. If we want lasting solutions, we must help in investing in people staying employed so they can remain stably housed. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Chair Vega-Peterson and County Commissioners. My name is Soko Eth, here on behalf of the Immigrant and Refugee Community Organization, where I'm the Director of Pacific Islander Asian Family Center. IRCO, Pacific Islander Asian Family Center, and our collective organizations wrap around No Wrong Door with culturally specific models support our communities in Multnomah County in deep ways, including the Sun service system. Tonight, I'm here to urge you to support these programs that serve to empower community, impact anti-poverty initiatives, develop skills and support necessary and ideal growing workforce, and help those from our youngest to our elders in achieving what needs to be whole, self-sufficient, and connected to the community around us, including programs like Sun. IRCO's programming, along with our many partners, aims to provide these services in the face of growing challenges, barriers, uncertainties, and anxieties from the state of our world, especially in this moment with real risk and safety due to immigration status or anxiety because of fear of being targeted unfairly or profiled, contributing to the absenteeism of many students. That's why programs like Sun Service Systems based in our neighborhoods and schools like Rose City or Vestal are critical components to the wider supportive community, including students not just from our Asian and Pacific Islander communities, but our wider refugee, immigrant, BIPOC communities as a whole. Programs in supportive housing services, workforce development, family resource navigation, and other critical areas are needed now more than ever as challenges continue to mount on households, families, and those in need. We urge you to continue to support such programs in this time, however possible, and we know that in this delicate moment in balancing cost and revenue, that you consider the full impact on communities as wider systems become challenged, including the wholesale write-off of communities ineligible for services in a time of major uncertainty. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, everyone.
Just hit the button on your, there you go.
I should know this by now. Good to see everyone up there. Thank you, Chair, and all the commissioners for allowing me to be here. My name is DeAndre Kinjui. I am a Multnomah County employee. I'm the supervisor of the Office of Consumer Engagement, but today I am speaking as a community member. And what I'm asking for today is simply that position 718455 is restored. This is the first time we've taken any cut. As long as OCE has been around, there's a lot of new commissioners that aren't familiar with our office, and what our office does is we represent people with lived experience from policy to practice. We provide direct services, we get people into treatments, we get people connected to services, employment, we provide technical assistance to other organizations, specifically organizations of color. And right now, what's happening at a federal level and locally, we're watching the impact, and for some reason, we all see people of color always get rocked the hardest. And for what it would cost to have this position restored and the effect that it would have on the community outweighs itself tremendously. Our group got split up a little bit, and so you're going to hear a little bit more from some of the other members, but I just want to make sure that I am up here talking as a community member. We've done some phenomenal work. We built the BHRC. We're working with the new deflection center. We've piloted the VMOS hotels. You'll see a lot of like Central City Concerns and Do Good. They're doing the hotel models. That was one of our projects that we did. And yeah, just allow us to continue to work. It doesn't cost that much to continue our program. And thank you for having us here. And hopefully we get to build relationships with you guys like we did with the previous commissioners.
Thank
Jessica.
you. Yeah. We've got a relationship, I know. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Neely Osha. I'm here with Outside the Frame and, as you can tell, with the employment services programs here. Outside the Frame recently celebrated its 10th anniversary. That's 10 years of being a destination for creative young people experiencing homelessness to come and make something great of themselves and of the world. We provide creative expression and job opportunities through the film industry. We work with Oregon Film to train and place people on professional sets. We contribute to the creative economy that Portland is known for. We work with people up to age 30, so we help them not backtrack on the gains that they've made in the homeless youth system that only goes to age 25. We recently surveyed our alumni from the last 5 years. 90% of them are housed, 75% of them are employed. One of our participants went from being a barista at Starbucks to a production assistant to recently completing her second feature film as an assistant camera operator. Another one we helped get housed and make a music video. We integrate them back into society let's not kick them out a second time by cutting these programs. And it's my understanding that Commissioner Singleton, you put in a proposal to reinstate 60% of the funding. Thank you so much. Keep it up. Like a little bit up. It's money well spent. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Next, we have Etta Harris, Tricia Patterson, Julia Mines, and Veronica Oro. And after that, we'll have Cindy Xiong, Mario Cardenas, Thomas Karwacki, and Roger Garth.
Good evening, and would you like to begin? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Etta Harris, and I was in the Chive program as a parent who had a child that was in their program. And the Chive has done an amazing job with me. When I first started, I didn't have a job. I was going to school, and what they provided me was an outlet for me to come and, be with other parents that was going through the same thing that I was going through with my child that was involved in gangs. And throughout Chive, with Chive help, they did find me employment. I was working with Project Access now and been with them for 11 years. So I think this program is a wonderful program. I have been on multiple trips with them. We have did beach houses, just trying to uplift us women with kids that we have no control over, and just having that outlet that other parents is going through the same thing that I was going through, and it was just amazing. I've been with them for almost 12 years, and even though I'm not in the program, we still stay connected. They still invite me to the Christmas party. So I appreciate Chive, and I hope you guys continue to fund them. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Tricia Patterson. I have had both of my children with the Chive program. We started with intervention with my oldest, and then pre-intervention with my daughter. And we've moved into other outsourcing with other community partners as well to work with combating some homelessness with some crisis that we've dealt with our family. So we have a lot that we've worked with Chive. Prior to coming to POIC, I was pretty desperate to find resources that were helpful to connect my children, to offer with well-rounded and supportive environments for connecting and reestablishing just basis reunification for a lot of our relationships. Between having the many team members and the caseworker that I have, we've worked through some of the most terrifying and most dangerous moments in just getting custody coming back and working together, and I would not have had the parenting skills without POIC on my side. Having the partnership and the answering the phones and the emails, being able to go to the office has had the best support for me in the community that I've ever experienced in the community. So without that, I don't know where we would have been. So we have great supportive wraparound services with them. I just have a couple reasons why defunding that would have been detrimental to my family as well as countless others. For us, we have one-on-one sessions, teen engagement, activity opportunities in the community, connections with mental health care or other referrals necessary, parenting classes, collaborative teen and parenting opportunities, realistic relationship rapport, job and skills training opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi. My name is Julia Mines. I'm the Executive Director of the Miracles Club in Northeast Portland, which is a longstanding African-American-based recovery organization. The OCE, or Office of Community Engagement, has pretty much given Miracles a grant to do outreach in downtown Portland for African Americans that are most of the time overlooked. So our grant, anyway, the person that allowed us the grant was out sick, and when he came back, he found out that our program had been cut. 2 programs had been cut, the African American program and NAMI. We were just notified maybe a month ago that the program has been cut. It will detriment the African American homeless population, recovering population downtown Portland. We don't have the ability to provide those services without the grant that was issued to us by the OAC. And then one of the positions has been cut that supported us in that. Our problem is that, I'll say it again, that most of the African Americans downtown are overlooked by the big box companies in the outreach services. We're asking that you reinstate that position and reinstate our grant so that we can continue to go downtown, hand out clean clothing, hand out food, hand out what is needed for people, African Americans downtown, to be well and get well and seek the services that they need so that they can possibly do better in their life and maybe come to Miracles and get more services. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Chair Vega-Peterson and Commissioners. I am Dr. Veronica Oro, a senior data research and analysis specialist at Self-Enhancement, Inc. I have over a decade of experience researching child development with a focus on marginalized and underserved youth. My work is rooted in understanding the impact of social determinants of health. I leverage this knowledge to inform policies and programming that not only protects against systemic harms and prevents adverse outcomes, but also promotes resilience in a flourishing community. I'm here today to advocate for the restoration of funds to the Sun Community Schools program and retention of all sites. Sun programming is a proven mechanism through which we can mitigate the impact of systemic barriers and social determinants of health on our most vulnerable youth. The academic and behavioral health supports provided are critical for youth and families who have limited to no access otherwise. While I personally do not engage in participant-facing services, I marvel at the work my colleagues at Self-Enhancement, Inc. do. Whether through personal anecdotes shared at staff meetings or formal data collection, I am a witness to the resounding impact our coordinators have on young people and their families. I shudder at the thought that their work and the work of other community-based organizations could come to a halt. SEI and other CBOs utilize culturally informed practices rooted in on-the-ground work to connect with marginalized and underserved youth and uplift their realization of their full potential. CBOs are uniquely equipped to do the work that academics and government officials only pontificate on. Authentic relationship building is key, and CBO-led Sun programming is a testament to the impact of carefully established and trusted rapport. Eliminating Sun sites, tangible spaces that provide the foundation for relationship building and community outreach, will have consequential and pernicious impacts on the very youth who need us most. I implore you to restore this funding. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next, we have Cindy Xiong, Mario Cardenas, Thomas Karwaki, Roger Garth, and then after them will be Miriam Admasu.
Good evening. If you're ready, you can go ahead and begin.
Good evening, Chair and County Commissioners. My name is Cindy Zong, representing Impact Northwest, and I'm here tonight to speak on the proposed elimination of MSI Regional Services. You heard earlier from 2 of my fellow colleagues prior to myself tonight. MSI has been a critical lifeline for families working to achieve stability and long-term security. Through consistent support, whether in the form of financial guidance, access to essential services, or targeted resources, MSI has helped families move from crisis to self-sufficiency. A key component of this impact has been providing households with direct access and referrals to legal services as well as workforce development opportunities, equipping families with the tools needed for long-term self-sufficiency, and helping prevent housing instability before it begins. The impact of a budget cut to this program would be deeply felt, as it would reduce access to the very resources that have enabled parents to secure employment, maintain housing, and building a more stable future for their children. In addition, such cuts would create a significant gap in services across the regions MSI currently serves, leaving many communities, particularly those already underserved, without reliable access to support. For many, MSI has not just been a temporary safety net, but a pathway to lasting change. Scaling it back risks undoing years of progress and placing vulnerable families back into cycles of uncertainty. Though this reduction may appear to be a short-term fiscal adjustment, its effects will be long-term and far-reaching. For families on the brink, the loss of preventative support today can lead to prolonged housing instability, financial hardships, and setbacks that last well beyond this budget cycle. Investing in MSI is fiscally responsible and essential to maintaining stability in Multnomah County. I respectfully urge you to fully fund MSI Regional Services so that this vital support can continue to strengthen families and communities for years to come. I thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Roger Garth. I am an employee of the Behavioral Health Department, but I'm here today as a community member. Thank you for having us, Chair and Commissioners. And I want to speak on the impact of the budget cuts with the KSA African American Program Specialist position with the Office of Consumer Engagement. This is not about a job being cut. This is about removing a critical bridge between the county and the African American community. This position is often a connecting point for African American individuals are seeking recovery, treatment, and support, and someone who understands the culture and lived experience and the barriers that exist. Is someone who can meet with people where they're at and help guide them into systems that haven't always felt welcome or safe. Without that role, we risk losing trust, we risk losing communication, and we risk creating an even wider gap between the county policy and people between those policies are meant to serve. Representation matters. People need to see someone who looks like them, understand them, and willing to advocate for them. This position doesn't connect people to service. It speaks up for the community. It brings their voice into rooms where decisions are made and ensure leadership hears directly what's really happening on the ground. Within the Office of Consumer Engagement, this role is important. It's important our work rooted in equity, accountability, and real community engagement. It ensures that addiction services, recovery pathways, and treatment options are not just available, but accessible and relevant and trusted. Cutting this position would not just impact a department, it would impact people, it would impact families, it would impact a community that already face disparities in access and care. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Excuse me. Hola, Chair, Commissioners. It's always a pleasure to see you all. My name is Mario Cardenas, and I'm a proud employee of Multnomah County. I'm a KSA program coordinator, culturally specific, with the Latinx community. And I just want to speak in regards to Roger and the work that we do, the importance of culturally specific services. We know it works, it's proven. The county supported it and has been supporting it for years. We lead with race, right? And I just want to touch on a little bit of what we do, right? I've been in the KSA for approximately 5 years. I'm a man in long-term recovery, going on 14 years in August. And, you know, you all gave me the opportunity to be a part of this, right? And with that opportunity that we have now, Roger and I'm really nervous. So you all know me. I'm just really passionate about what we do, okay? I work with the PATH team as a program coordinator, a KSA, connecting people to services. OC is a more broader thing what we got going on. I didn't know until I got in. I'm the first Latino KSA for OC, and we get to do a whole lot more. We connect people to services. We advocate. We bring community together. We unite community partners. We facilitate trainings, right? We break down barriers for people to get into treatment. And we hold people accountable and let you all know about it, right? We're your voice. We're the voice of the living, people with lived and living experience like myself, right? And we get to bring that to leadership, and we get to do something really cool too, which Roger, and I can testify the work that he does, right? We get to uplift what the county does. And I know that's why I'm so proud to be a county employee. I know the work that you all do is so hard, and I really want to uplift and appreciate you all for the hard work that you do and for supporting the Office of Consumer Engagement. I can't carry his weight. We need this African brother. Okay?
Thank you.
We really do.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Tom Karwacki, and I'm speaking as a private citizen at this time. This morning, earlier this afternoon, I talked to you about victim services and asked you to become a victim advocate. And one of the things I wanted to say is this DCJ has a lot of nationally known programs dealing with the same specific, culturally specific areas. And one of the things that's really important is that all of the problems you've heard today have been dealing with. It takes a whole community, a whole county to respond. And so I'm imploring you to reach out to the philanthropic community and to the business community and partnerships and try to envision some way of how we can do that. You can do that through your good offices, your newsletters, et cetera. Finally, you wanted to know, Commissioner Brem Edwards, about the maps. I will simply say that victims are almost always within a mile of the persons who were committing, the perpetrators. So you can look at the maps and you can see it. I asked the director for the information and try to provide a same map for victims. Can't be done. They don't keep the data. So that's there. And finally, as the chair of the API caucus for the Democratic Party of Oregon, I can only say it's time.
Thank you so much. Thanks, all of you.
Next, we have Miriam Admasu.
Good evening, Miriam.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Miriam Admasu, and I'm the Director of Behavioral Health Stabilization and Reentry at Central City Concern. I oversee 3 culturally specific programs that prioritize Black and African American communities. That's Imani Center, Flip the Script, and Karibu. Imani is a behavioral health clinic. Flip the Script supports reentry navigation, and Karibu is a housing stabilization program serving individuals with behavioral health needs who are also involved in the justice system. I'm here today because of the proposed reductions to Program 40084, which is the funding that supports behavioral health stabilization services like Karibu and other culturally specific mental health services. I want to ground us in what Multnomah County has consistently stated as a priority, which is advancing equity, increasing access to care, as well as reducing disparities in our community. Because if that's truly the priority, then we have to be honest. These reductions for this next fiscal year are directly contradicting that commitment. Across our programs, we're often serving individuals who need higher levels of care, but that care is not available. So we don't turn people away. We stabilize them, we hold them, we love on them, and then we continue serving them until the system can catch up. And what we know is people trust us, and when people trust the care that they're receiving, they stay engaged, and they do better over time. And that's what our programs do. It reduces crisis utilization, it reduces recidivism, and it lowers long-term system costs because people are supported before they reach the most expensive points of intervention. So when we eliminate funding for programs like Karibu, we're not just talking about short-term savings, we're potentially increasing long-term costs across emergency, justice, and crisis systems. And more importantly, we're disrupting care for people who are already the most vulnerable and underserved populations. My ask is that you reconsider these reductions and protect culturally specific and responsive services that are improving outcomes and reducing long-term system impacts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all the testimony that we have.
Is there anyone who, I think everyone you called was here, so, okay, great. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate everyone who came to provide testimony tonight. It really is meaningful in terms of the decisions that we have to go through over the next several weeks, so just appreciate everybody's voice today. For those of you who submitted written testimony, be assured that my colleagues and I read each of those as we're considering our budget decisions as well. I want to thank all of the Multnomah County staff who have helped make sure everything flowed smoothly tonight, especially Tasia Nelson and Emily Schultz for running through everything and making sure that not only did we hear it from everyone who had signed up, but everyone who was on the wait list as well got a chance to speak tonight. So thank you so much for making that happen. I want to thank all the interpreters who ensured that this public hearing was accessible to all in our community. Our final budget will be voted on by the board on Thursday, June 4th, during our regular board meeting, which begins at 1 p.m. in this boardroom and is also available virtually. We also have 2 more public hearings that are scheduled for over the next few weeks in May. I want to thank everyone for their investment in this process and wish everyone a good night. We are adjourned.